Enrique.
Indica?
Enrique.
Enrique. Aaron. It's good to meet you. And you, sir?
Gary Violet.
Gary.
Yeah.
You're familiar, but it's good to see you. I know Owen. I know Joanna. How you doing? I was just introducing myself. My name's Aaron.
Jermaine.
Jermaine. Good to meet you. So yeah, guys. Today we're going to be talking about how to generate traffic to your website, and it's kind of like a very broad topic. You know, there's a lot of ways to do that. If you guys have ever done any sort of funnel creation, you know that a basic funnel goes like this, and it starts with generating interest and then gets into them opting into your website, that leads to a phone call, that leads to hopefully a meeting, and then ultimately a sale, right? You guys are familiar with what a basic funnel looks like, okay? What I do, well, I have a lot of titles, but ultimately the best title that I have for myself is I'm a UX designer. And what a UX designer is a user experience designer. So my job is to create experiences for users. You can also call them customers or really whatever you choose to call them, but I'm a user experience designer. So the way that I drive traffic to websites and drive traffic to products and create interest in the value proposition that I'm proposing or selling at the time is I need to understand who my user is, right? So to me, the most simple way to define driving qualified traffic anywhere, whether it be to a website or a brick and mortar or anything, is I need to understand who the users are that I'm trying to attract. So what we're going to do today is a series of different exercises. This is stuff that I'm going to teach you. It's a framework that you can do over and over and over and over again, and hopefully define your users or your customers in a very meaningful way. If you've ever done any sort of user profiling, have you guys ever experimented with like profiling a customer? A lot of times you're looking for like about the customer, how old are they? You know, when you're doing like for example, when you're creating a Facebook ad, Facebook will say, what's the demographic? Where are you looking to target these people? What type of education? What type of household income? Those questions are about profiling the type of customer that you're trying to attract through your Facebook campaign, right? Does it make sense? So what I want to do is I want to take that like really deep. I want to take this whole user, understanding who our users are, like an inch wide and a mile deep. So I don't want to just know, you know, how old they are and where they went to school. To me, that's very cold data. How could I use that to promote myself and generate more traffic, get more people to enter into my funnel? I really can't. I need to know what they're thinking. I need to know what they're saying. I need to know what they're interested in, where they shop. You know, the things that are hot buttons for them, the things that cause them pain. The more that I know about a customer, the better I can create more meaningful experiences with my brand, you know, to drive them down this funnel that we all know about, right? So what I'm talking about today is this like kind of pie in the sky, like this cloudy area, like how do I even get people to this first part of the funnel, right? And again, it's all about user, understanding the user empathy. Empathy is a really critical buzzword when we're talking about user experience design, because how can we help somebody if we can't empathize with who they are, their struggles, their pains, their gains, and so on. So to do this today, I'm going to show you guys a framework. It's going to be pretty simple. A couple columns here. I like that the other girl used the whiteboard too. It's like you guys are getting a lot of whiteboard action today. I love whiteboards. But I need a volunteer. So I need somebody who's willing to share with me a customer that they've recently worked with, a customer that was like really good. And hopefully you guys are friends on Facebook. In fact, you guys need to be friends on Facebook for this exercise to work. Does anybody want to like volunteer? Anybody have a customer that they're like, oh, if I just had 100 of these, I'd be really happy. You got one? And you're friends with them on Facebook? Mm-hmm. All right. What's her name?
Daryl.
Daryl. Okay, that's good enough. We don't have to go for a last name. We'll just say Daryl. Mm-hmm. So, what was the purchase price, or it's a sale, or how did it go down?
They're a vet, and so
okay.
Yeah, and you want it from start to finish, or?
No, I'll ask you pretty assertive questions and you answer. So, how much was why is Daryl the perfect customer for you? First of all, was it just an easy process?
It was an easy process. He was receptive to the information I was providing. He knew what he wanted.
Okay, he knew what he wanted.
Yep, he knew what he wanted.
Was he pre-qualified and
He
everything?
was not pre-qualified yet,
okay.
but he had his documents in order.
Okay.
So that was awesome.
Okay. How old is Daryl?
Daryl's 51.
51 years old. What did he end up buying? What was the amount?
He ended up buying in surprise at $375.
That's a good amount. Okay, 375. This is a great profile. Unless you don't like working with people with, loans that are that. But so no, this is great. Okay, so you're friends with Daryl on Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you pull up his Facebook page on your phone? I'm gonna ask you some more questions. I break these categories down. I need to actually pull up my computer to see what all these are because. Again, Facebook, when you're creating Facebook ads, they ask you a lot of these questions. How old are they? What is his income? What is his history? So on and so forth. So we can do, I'm just going to call this like general information. We're going to cover a little bit of general information from Daryl. I want to know what his interests and activities are. And I'll show you how to do this.
Okay.
And then at the end of this whole exercise, I'm going to bring this all forward and we're going to talk about how do we create content, how do we create engaging content that drives these types of customers to this top of the funnel, to get them into here. We're not talking about this today. This is a whole separate class in and of itself. How do we get somebody to go to your website and convert them to a sale? And that's a really important aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the big question is, well, how do I get more people just to come to my website in general? And the way we do that is we do that first by profiling who these people are, what their interests and activities are. Then we tailor content and our message and the things that we post and share on our website to fit within Daryl's interests, between their activities. We're going to talk about his tech and media. And hopefully you don't mind, we're gonna profile this guy.
Okay.
And if Daryl's watching, I hope you enjoy this. Yeah, we are stalking you right now. And this framework, again, guys, I want you to feel like you can do this. The better you know your customers, the better you can create meaningful experiences with them. That's what it's all about. So we have mediums, and then I call them influencers. All right, so general information about Daryl. He's 51. Do you know that usually on their Facebook page, it'll say where they graduated from high school, where he's from, and where he lives currently. To me, that's pretty general information. So what do you find?
Well, he's from here.
Okay, so he's native.
Unmarried, divorced.
Okay, that's good. Divorced. Any kids?
Yes, adult children.
Okay.
Four boys.
Wow. 4 boys. All right.
I'm sorry, you asked me.
So typically in this section, I'll ask for I'll try to identify the age, the sex, nationality, marital status, kids, location. We've identified that.
Okay.
Now, interests. This is an important one. So do you know how to find their interests on Facebook? Does anybody know how to find what other people are interested in on Facebook? There's a little 3 dots next to their name. It's like a more section. And you can go to more and then go to likes. And you're going to see what pages they like. Now, the things that I'm interested in knowing is what type of, what is Daryl interested in? Does he like craft beer? Is he like, does he like to go out and eat? What pages does he follow? You might even find his political status on here. You're going to find the things that...
Oh, yeah, I know what that is.
Okay, all right. So I could already assume that we know what category that falls under.
Yeah.
That's cool. But what type of interest does he have? And some of it could be stuff that you personally know, but I like to try to root it in data. I don't want to make up a fictitious profile. So when you're creating these profiles, you really need to profile real people. This is not like an exercise just to toot your own horn, right? We're really profiling the ideal customer. And ideally, we'll do this 3 different times. So when I'm done with this profile, we have him, he's a vet, so I don't know if he had a VA loan, I'm not sure, but let's just say, you can profile different people at different price points because their behavior and who they are as a persona is gonna vary based on, the type of person that they are. So your customers, you'll never get really the same customer, but this is a great profile where you could say, this is a vet profile, this is the ideal customer I want for this.
Okay.
So interest, go ahead, hit me with it.
Football, basketball.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say sports.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What else? I see, and sometimes people do a lot of stuff on Facebook, sometimes people aren't very active. If Facebook isn't a platform that they're using, look on LinkedIn, look on their Instagram. If it's a younger demographic, I'm sure Daryl's not on Instagram. But again, we're just using the resources that are at hand to try to identify who this person is.
Yeah.
So what else? Sports?
We got sports, music, more R&B, pop. We've got.
Wow. I'm gonna go pop music.
Yeah. Comedy, lifting weights.
Okay, so he works out.
Uh-huh.
So he's like a health. Would you say he's like a
Racquetball.
okay, right?
Yeah.
Works out. So he's health conscious.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Movies, more war movies.
Gotcha. Okay.
The Real House Husbands of Hollywood.
Seriously? Okay. This is good. Real House Husbands of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Husbands. I'm just gonna say HW.
What are those three dots you're talking about? Where are they?
I don't see that either. But
So
these three dots
oh,
here.
more. So that's if you're on
Oh,
mobile.
more.
Hit more. Yeah. So go to more. Yeah, and it might not say more. Sometimes I don't know. My phone has the three dots, but
video, check-in, sports.
yeah. So you can even go to check-ins. Where they check in. Where are your customers eating? Where are they spending their time? What are they doing during the day? Where should you leave a stack of business cards? Not randomly at some coffee shop because you feel like it's a good idea. You should do it based out of some sort of data that you can say, well, I know that a couple of my customers really enjoy eating at Sam Fox restaurants. You know what I mean? Like that would be, then you're at least making an educated decision as to why you are marketing or advertising or positioning yourself there. What else? Anything else? Anything else under your interest you want to talk about?
are we skipping politics?
You can actually add politics. I put that under general.
I managed it.
It's kind of important.
It's very important. It's really important. I mean,
You
here's
don't
the
wanna
thing.
say something.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
With profiling customers, profile the types of customers you want to work with. If you have a bad experience with a customer, profile that customer and avoid things. You understand? Because like as entrepreneurs or business owners, we have the ability to choose who we work with. I love it. Somebody said to me like, we got into an argument, there was a work thing, and they're like, why write your checks? And I was like, no. I accept your money. By saying I'm willing to work with you is me saying I'll accept working with you. Like you don't have to work with anybody. There are good customers and there are bad customers. I prefer to work with the good ones. So that's why we're profiling Daryl here. What else? Yeah, okay, so what do you want to say about his politics?
He's anti-Trump.
Okay, anti-Trump. Okay. All right. Tech and media. Now this one, sometimes you can find on Facebook, sometimes you can't. But tech and media is like, what kind of technology is he using? Is he an Apple user? Is he a PC user?
He's a PC user.
Okay, so he's a PC guy, Android.
Boxing.
What did you say?
Sorry, I said boxing.
Boxing. Okay, I'm gonna go back over here to sports. So boxing, that's good.
Big fan of the Denver Broncos.
Yep, sports guy. Broncos.
Lots of women.
Lots of women. He likes women. Interest.
Okay.
Women. Okay.
RV.
What was that?
RV.
Okay, RVing. So that to me is travel. He enjoys the occasional travel, maybe somewhere semi-local where he can drive. Or back to Denver, yeah. Yeah, Denver is good. Okay, so tech and media covers a few different things. Actually, we'll just keep that at tech. I do like to know the difference between PC and Android because you can kind of tell a lot about it. Well, I can tell when I'm another person. And I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. I'm not saying it's as hard of a line as we like Trump or don't like Trump. Okay, I'm just saying that you can understand of like how they kind of work and live throughout the day if they're using Apple products versus Android products. Channels. This one's really important. So I'm actually going to go channels and media instead of tech and media. So what channels and media is like what magazines?
Wait. So what's the difference between Android users and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into that.
I'm
I'm not gonna get into that.
I wanna know
The
too.
political side, but not the Apple versus.
No, we put it up there. We put it up there, but we're not gonna. That's a different class. It's a 1 hour lecture that I'll be doing 5 years from now if you're still here. But there is a difference.
Simple.
Absolutely, there's a difference. Yeah. So okay. So anyways, channels in media, MEDIA. This is like what magazines does Daryl subscribe to? What television channels does Daryl watch? If he's on any email list, what type of email list is he on? And a lot of this could be like what pages does he follow, right? So these could be, again, more likes, pages he likes. But this is more media outlets and channels. So with channels, for example, we can already tell that he's on Facebook because we're profiling him on Facebook. Is he on any other social media accounts that you know of?
Not that I.
For younger profiles, some of the millennials, you'll find that they're using Instagram, Snapchat, different channels. So this is important. We want to know what channels is Daryl on or our customers on so that we know if we create content, where do we distribute it? When you're new to like marketing and you just get your license and you're like, okay, I got to market, I got to get my brand out there. You look at social media and you're like, okay, shit, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Google+, there's LinkedIn, there's all these things. How am I going to have time to manage all of these things? The good news is you don't. You just have to manage the ones that your ideal customers are on. So if they're not on Snapchat, don't be on Snapchat. If you don't want to work with young millennials who are purchasing their first homes for 150, 250,000, you want to work with older, more regular, women-loving, anti-Trump people, then you can advertise on Facebook, right? You don't have to worry about the other channels, and it's really important that like we don't overwhelm ourselves with like all the possibilities of, oh my gosh, I have to be everywhere all the time. It's like, no, create 3 profiles, your best customers, and be where they are. So Facebook, he's there. What else?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Okay, that's it for channels. Now media, he might, I don't know, I would say like he might subscribe to Illustrator Sports. This is an assumption. But just based off of these other things, you can kind of already get an idea of the types of stuff that he allows to enter into his consciousness on a daily basis.
She's got GQ, CNN,
GQ.
and ESPN,
Yep.
NBC Nightly News.
Okay. So we keep track of time. Okay. Okay, that's good enough. That's sweet. So mediums of content. Again, sometimes this is more difficult to find than others, but what a medium is, there's typically only, I would say, 4 mediums of content. This is arguable, but so there's written, there's video, there's audio, and then there's live. Like this is a live, to me this is a live form of me sharing content with you. This is a live experience. If you were listening to this in a podcast, that would be audio. If you were watching this on Facebook, this is video. If I transcribe this and post it as a blog post, it's written. There's really only 4 mediums of content in which people consume. That's it. So what I'm trying to identify with Daryl or this ideal client, how does he prefer to consume content? Does he read? Does he watch? Is he a live person?
Video.
Video.
How he likes video.
All right, so he loves video. That's great. And then here's the thing with written, you can actually break these down into 2 different categories. You can do like long form or short form. So for example, if I was profiling a CEO of a company, these guys read long form annual reports. You know what I mean? So it would not be a good idea for me to try marketing to these guys on Instagram with a 30-second video if they're like highly analytical, reading long form reports, right? It doesn't match up with the profile. So there are other ways that you can do that. So video, I'm just going to start for video. Audio live, any?
Audio.
Audio, okay. That's good. Yeah, he definitely likes movies, all that stuff. Okay. Where did that eraser go? Is it back there? Just don't want to use my finger. It's okay. I want to remove the things that aren't applicable to Daryl. All right. The last one is influencers. Who does Daryl respect? Who does he follow? This could be, I think I defined them here as, an influencer is kind of a broad category, but an influencer could be defined as an author, a celebrity, political figures, athletes, content creators, any authorities at all. People with a following. So like, yeah, political figures. It could be sports players, right? So if he likes the Denver Broncos, you guys know who plays for the Denver Broncos? I don't follow sports at all. So
Von Miller.
Who?
Von Miller.
Von Miller. I'm just going to put Von Miller. If he likes the Broncos, it's safe to assume he likes Von Miller. Is that?
Absolutely.
Is that okay? It's a safe assumption. And so he likes the Denver Broncos. We know that. So let's just pretend we have, I'm going to, just because for time purposes, let's just pretend that we have 5 other influencers that we identified that he likes. And that could be, maybe, I don't know, maybe you start scrolling through his feed and you see the things that he shared. Oh, he shared an article from ESPN on Von Miller, or he shared something like this, right? So we can start putting different influencers into this bucket. Well, now that we have this, like, pretty good profile that covers a lot of different categories of this persona, of this, like, ideal customer, we're now able to start making meaningful connections between these different quadrants and say, how do we create really compelling content for him? So, let me show you how that works. It's pretty cool. At least I think it's cool. So, we know he likes video, so we're not going to write anything. We may have to do a live stream, or we may have to make a video with our phone. That's another class for another day. However you choose to make video, it's not that difficult these days. The barrier for entry for making content is super easy. So, we're going to make a video, and we're going to talk about, and this may take a little bit of work, right? You may have to take a little bit of research. But do you think Daryl would be interested in, in photos or any sort of information on Von Miller's prior real estate history? And this might take some time. Like I said, I'm making this stuff up as I go along, because I don't ever know how these profiles go. But the idea is that we start making meaningful connections. So anything to do with either real estate, or you could do interior design. There's tons of categories that fall into the real estate, like, general category of what you guys would write about or create content about. But what you need to do is you need to start tying it in to this person's interests, to the type of mediums in which they consume content, to the influencers that they follow, to the channels that they're on. You guys following this? Does this make sense? You guys have any questions so far? Because at the end of the day, really what we're trying to do is we're just trying to identify who our ideal customers are and how to make meaningful content to them.
I'm tailoring my marketing to that, my posts and things to it.
So here's the thing, the way that I do it, and when we do content strategy, I've done content strategy for a lot of different companies. What I'm going through with you guys right now is a 1-hour condensed version of a 12-hour process. So what I would do is I would profile 3 different types of customers. So we have the Daryls of the world, who are 51, that are around this amount, that are, a VA loan. Well, there's probably 2 other types of ideal customers that you want to work with. So let's just pretend we have a guy. Let's just say we have a Sam. He's married with kids. With kids. He's looking for a house around $500K. He's not some of these other things, right? But he's still an ideal customer. You had a really good experience working with him. The things that you would write about, his things are going to be different for him. When you're posting on social media, you're not just posting, hopefully you're not posting once a week. Hopefully you're posting a couple times a week. Some of it you're sharing to outside sources. Some of it you're sharing and driving traffic back to your website, to your funnel. But the idea is, if you have a schedule, let's say, of 7 days a week, and in those 7 days, you're posting 3 to 4 times, post something that communicates to Daryl on one day, and then post something that communicates to Sam. We try to stagger those, because you can't always talk about, Hillary and, like the Broncos all the time on your feed. It's not going to work. You really need to stagger that out. And the way I would do it, and we're just going to make it kind of a general fake calendar here. This is a calendar. You pick the days that you want to focus on the Daryls of the world, right? And then you pick the days you want to focus on the Sams of the world. And you try to create an actual schedule. If you run through this entire exercise and you start making meaningful connections between this, I mean, here, let's see if you guys can make some meaningful connections yourselves, because I just made one up with Von Miller, but you could also do one with, you know, comedy, CNN, you know, you could do like some of the funniest outtakes in CNN, you know what I mean? Daryl would probably watch that. He's interested in comedy, he likes CNN. Boom. I just made a connection, a meaningful connection based off of this person's interest. This is like data-driven, psychology-driven marketing and advertising. It's just, the idea is to get you guys stop working out of theoretical ideas of like, oh, I'm gonna spend 5 hours making this blog post, and I really hope that it works. And then it doesn't get any traction at all. You know, but then you post something stupid, and then it gets all this traction, and you're like, I don't understand why, and a lot of times it has to do with like your audience, the profile, the people, you know, that are seeing this. So just based on Daryl alone, can any of you guys make some interesting connections that may be an interesting, sticky headline? And I'm sorry if you can't read my handwriting, it's really poor.
I would do an ad quoting a CNN source on how Obama believes something about real estate could affect families of 3 kids or more. And I'd create an ad with all of those things, knowing that your particular customer likes RVs. That would be one of my tailored interests, to attack somebody who likes RVs, because people who like RVs like homes with RV parking spaces, right? So connecting as many of those things as possible. And driving, I don't know about necessarily a blog post, but I would drive an ad specifically towards that demographic, whether it's a video clip from CNN talking with Obama speaking, because we all know he hates Trump. So with Obama speaking, talking about real estate, referring to an article that might be on your blog that you could drive traffic to.
Okay.
Also, I keep forgetting the fact that he's a vet. I mean, that's not in one of the categories, but I mean, that's a massive, like that right there is sticky enough. And a lot of people's businesses, they focus solely on that. I work just with vets. I do primarily VA loans. Like I've got my lender who's a partner, and that's what we do. Like, and that's their niche, and that's cool. You can niche down, but I think that when you niche down so much, you're missing out on a lot of potential opportunity. You know, I think it's good to niche in some ways, maybe more so in an area. You know, niche down in an area. I want to talk about niching actually for a second, because there's 3. I just spoke in London a few weeks ago, or actually 2 months ago, about niching down at a conference. And what we talked about was there's 3 main ways to niche down. And they call it niching, I would call it niching, but they corrected me so many times, I'm now saying niching. Okay, so, but there's 3 ways to niche down. Number 1, you can do it by like your capabilities. So, for example, I only do real estate with VA-related loans. Like my capabilities are only this broad. Thanks for coming. We'll see you later. And then the other way is going to be by price. So you can niche by price, or coming up with some sort of an interesting price point. I don't know if you guys have seen the way some people are starting to do their listings at a flat rate. I will list it a flat rate. That's a niche. That is a strategy to try to get people. And then the other is going to be by a location for you guys, right? So you can niche by a specific location. I dominate Paradise Valley. If you want to know anything about Paradise Valley, I'm the agent for you. I know about the school districts, the crime rates. I know the best places to eat. I know what the value is going to go up or down. Like, you are the person. So there are a few ways for you as a realtor to niche down, but I would try not to niche so far down that you're preventing yourself from getting too much business, right? Because ultimately we're just trying to get the top of this funnel to get full. You know, that's really the main focus. But that was a good connection, Owen. I mean, can you guys see what we're doing here? Do you guys all understand the exercise? Okay. There's one other thing I want to show you guys. I don't have an eraser, but we're just going to go lower. The last exercise that I like to do, and I don't know, take a picture of this, figure out these quadrants: general interest, tech, channels, mediums, and influencers. That's generally what I like to go for when I'm profiling somebody. If you're single, try doing this for a potential partner. It's an interesting exercise. It's better than just saying pros and cons, you know what I mean? The other thing I like to do is something, and this is a very simple one. It's pains, gains, and then solutions. And this is more for when you guys are starting to create like marketing material that is being directed directly to the Daryls of the world. You know, what are Daryl's, so first we identify what are Daryl's biggest pains. So you're going to know more of that than I could probably deduce from this profile, but let's just say, you know, one of Daryl's biggest pains, maybe he doesn't have time to go view a bunch of properties because he's super busy. That's like a typical profile thing, right? They're really busy. They just want to get on an email drip. Okay, that's a pain. So what he's looking to gain, so let's say no time. I'll just use this as an example. No time. What he's hoping to gain is somewhat of like a streamlined process, right? Process for vetting out the homes that he might want to buy. Right. Okay. He wants something simpler. He doesn't want to just drive around with you for a day. He doesn't have time to do that. And maybe we're talking about Sam here. He's married with 5 kids and he's busy. So then, what solutions do you provide as a realtor? You know, what do you provide to help him overcome his pains, to overcome his gains? And then what happens is you end up having this list. So a solution might be, well, I'm going to put him on an MLS strip. And I'm going to follow up. We're going to do a phone call, like follow up once a week. Let's just say you do a phone call follow up or you do a screen share on Skype or something like that. He's somewhat tech savvy. We're going to get on the horn with him once a week just to make sure he's looking at the properties, make sure he has any questions, because I know his time is really limited. So, you know, Sam, when are you available to talk once a week? Let's get on. We'll do a screen share. We'll look at properties together. Trust me, Sam, if we do this process, I'm going to save you so much time. We're not going to have to drive around. Like, we'll just drive around to the properties that are like 90% there, right? Like, you're so close. So identify as many pains as you can from your customer. Try to identify what they're hoping to gain, and then figure out what solutions you provide. And then once you have all these solutions down, you make a marketing piece to send out to your farm area or your community. You say, well, hey, you know, obviously we can put you on an MLS strip like everybody else, but I also do weekly calls to hold ourselves accountable, make sure that you're getting the attention that you need with your busy schedule. You know, like that is an ad idea. That's an ad placement idea. But again, this stuff is all data-driven and it's not theoretical, and that's the goal. That's the one thing, if I could get you to take away from this talk, it's really understanding who your customers are, being a little more empathetic as to, you know, what they're seeing, what they're thinking, what they're hearing, what they're feeling, and ultimately making more meaningful connections between, you know, your brand and who they are individually. So, you guys have any questions? I feel like I kind of did this pretty fast for condensing down a 4-hour exercise. Just user profiling alone we usually do inside of 4 hours. So, and again, like I said, we would do anywhere from 3 to 5 different profiles. When I started working with my home group, again, about 1.5 years ago, we profiled 10 different ideal agents. You know, what are the types of agents that we want to come and work here? It's really important for us. We have a cultural standard that we'd like. You know, we want them to produce, we want them to learn. But it's okay that, you know, if they're brand new too. We don't need just top producers. We also like people who are trying to learn, where they can grow and thrive, right? What are their pains? What are they hoping to gain? What solutions do we provide? Workshop Wednesdays, broker hotline, da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? So this works, this model works no matter what your business is or what you're trying to do. It's all relevant.
Did you talk about like Facebook advertising? Because that's probably the most common use for this, I would think.
It is. So I can talk about it, but I won't talk in depth about it because that's not really what my specialty is. I wouldn't say this class is really focused on that. This to me will help you on an organic perspective. So your own sphere of influence, you create content in this manner, it will help you. This will also help you then take this into, if you're using Facebook ads, they have a thing called a Power Editor. It's like a business manager, right? And in there, it's going to ask you audience information. And the audience information, a lot of times you're just kind of like guessing, like, I'd like to do this and this and this. You would then take that audience information that you've identified from these profiles and build out that audience from there. But as far as going in depth onto like Facebook advertising, I just am not prepared to do that today. But Facebook, absolutely. Facebook and Instagram are closely connected now. You're advertising on Instagram through Facebook, right? So that's all ran through here. But again, I would really only focus on the distribution channels that these people are on. One other thing I will talk about, just because we have time, is distribution channels. So we talk about video and audio. This person likes video and audio. Where is video hosted? Where is audio hosted? Think about it, right? So video could be hosted on YouTube. It could be hosted on Facebook. Where else is video hosted? I don't know, Wistia, Vimeo, you know, the list goes on and on and on. So then the question becomes, well, not just what social media platforms do I have, but what content mediums, like where can my content that is designed for this person be hosted to get the most impressions? For written content, a distribution channel that's heavily underutilized is Amazon. You guys could write a book on Amazon, a quick guide to selling real estate, or whatever the profile demands that you need to write a guide for. Publish it on Amazon, and you now are published on Amazon, and it's a distribution channel. It is a content. It's a medium of content. You know, it's a place you can put this stuff. Audio. You've got iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. The list goes on. SoundCloud, right? So if you can identify the mediums of the content, then also try to identify where the distribution channels are that you can put those mediums or those content pieces on. And there's a bunch. I mean, there's so many different distribution channels, and so many of them are underutilized. I wrote a book on Amazon. It hit bestseller in 12 hours. I beat Gary Vaynerchuk's Crush It in 12 hours. Now, I didn't sell more books than Gary Vee did. Gary Vee sold way more books than I did. But I jumped to top of the charts because of the way I launched it and the fact that it did exclusively on Kindle. And there's a few other reasons as to why Amazon pushed it up so high. But that book ended up gaining me so much traction on the back end of what I was trying to really promote. The book, even though the book cost $10 to purchase, it was a paid lead magnet. People were paying for my lead magnet, which was then driving them to a much more expensive product, a $200 digital training product that I created, right? So yours could be as simple as you can give away free Kindle books if you're publishing on Amazon if you really want to. Free, 99 cents. I mean, 99 cents on Amazon is pretty much free, is the new free on Amazon. So you can create content on there if you know your ideal customers really enjoy reading. It's a great distribution channel. And it's free to put on there. They do take a small percentage. You have some experience with Amazon, don't you?
Working with other clients, yes.
Okay.
But it's a great way to, in the real estate space, we spend a lot of money on leads, depending on whether you purchase them or you devise them yourself. If I was to tell you I could get you a lead for $1, would you take it?
Yeah.
The way he's explaining to you by publishing a book on Amazon, even if it's a guide, then you turn around and advertise that guide using, let's say, the Facebook platform towards the people that you're looking to target. If they opt in and buy that book for $1, or you're giving it away for free, and they come back to you because you are the authority in that book, and now you're advertising to them further services like homes in their area or whatever your book is about, you are the authority. And for 99 cents, you became the authority to that person.
You bring up a really good point, Owen, and that is that it doesn't matter, so Amazon is a distribution channel, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Vimeo, YouTube, these are all different distribution channels. But ultimately, when it comes time to sharing, when it comes time to generating a lead, you're actually syndicating all of these primarily to Facebook anyways. You know what I mean? And then Facebook, you then drive it over to your website, where there's hopefully an opportunity to capture a lead and drop them into your funnel. So like that is just a good point. I wanted to visually show you guys. Like Facebook is, I'm trying to think of a better way to describe it because it's not politically correct, but I just think it's kind of the cesspool of like where everybody goes. Like Facebook is just like the biggest platform. It has the most attention.
800-pound gorilla.
It's the 800-pound gorilla, but people don't always engage in native Facebook content. They want to look at content that's outside of Facebook, or they're open to viewing videos from CNN or watching funny comedian stuff that like Facebook just doesn't allow you to embed, right? You have to share it somewhere else, or books, or authors, or things like that. So again, but I choose these distribution channels always based off of the psychographs and the profiles that I identify. So this whole exercise is like the most important thing. You do this, you get this right, you figure out who your ideal customers are. All the content that you make, as long as it's rooted and informed by this, it will be way more engaging. Hands down. Try it. Take an experiment. Do it at home tonight. You know, create a profile, create a piece of content. It doesn't need to be big. You know, like I said on Amazon, well, my first book took me 3 months to produce, but the truth is like I took an audio file of me talking, I sent it over to a writer, she wrote the book, I published it on Amazon, you know, and boom, now I'm an author. Like I didn't even write anything. I just spoke into a microphone and did that. I'm in the process of writing my 3rd book right now. Actually, speaking my third book right now as we speak. So yeah, you know, the ability to make content is super easy. It's just I want to make sure that the time that I'm spending creating the content that I am is really going to do the most damage. And that's done through profiling properly. So, what time is it? Well, we got another 10 minutes. Is there anything else you guys would like to talk about?
The funny part is if you do that enough times, the one who you're actually profiling is yourself. Because at the end of the day, you have an ideal customer that you like working with in general. He may have been the one you like, but the reality is you do that enough times, you see a whole picture of who is your perfect customer. Because there's going to be a lot of overlap. You do 10 those 10 times, there's going to be a lot of overlap. As you start separating what that overlap is, you're finding your perfect customer. He's sticking out to you for a particular reason right now.
Right.
But you do it enough times, and you'll find.
In other words, you're trying to find yourself.
You'll be surprised how many agents
and then hire yourself. Then hire yourself because you've always wanted to have a second you. If there were just 2 of me, I could do so much more. Yeah, no, it's an interesting point.
How many agents do you know try to cater to everyone?
Yeah.
Or think, oh, you know, the broader the message, the better it is. The bigger the net. And actually it doesn't work that way.
No.
You want to narrow that down.
Let's go.
Yeah, you do want to narrow it down. And like I showed in the calendar, it's okay to narrow it down to this type of person, but you also want to kind of stagger. There's more than just one ideal customer that you have. You know, there's got to be. I know that there is. Because I've done a lot of sales, and I know that even the best customer, there's always another one that's good for their own reasons, right? Like maybe the process was simpler. Maybe it was a referral. How would you like to get more referral business, right? Why don't you profile the types of people that will send you referrals? Hey, there's an interesting idea. Yeah. Because again, what are their pains? What are the people who are referring you business? What are their pains? What are they hoping to gain, and what solutions do you provide them? Create a marketing piece based off of this quadrant for referrals. This works so many different ways, but ultimately it's just about being intentional and not just guessing. Guessing just costs too much money. It takes up time. You know, there's really no guarantee. And this is something that I try to do at least once a year because content mediums change, consumer behavior changes. You know, there are apps on my phone today that weren't here and they just didn't even exist 3 or 4 years ago. They're not things that I use on a daily basis. Now I log into them, you know, sometimes 10 to 20 times a day. I can't even tell you how many times I open my Instagram, just my Instagram, and I don't even do anything in it. I just open it. Just look at it. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's interesting. I love trying to identify how people behave and how they think. I almost went as far as like developing an app that just monitored what people did on their phone. If I could see how people would behave on their phone, think about what you can do with that. That's why big data is scary to people. Yeah, go ahead.
Is there any new apps, new platforms coming up that I don't even know about? Like I know Facebook, Instagram, Snap, but is there anything, there's nothing going to be replaceable. Those aren't going to be replaceable.
I don't see personally, this is a matter of opinion. I don't see Facebook being replaced anytime soon. Instagram is definitely coming up more and more. A lot of people are really, think about it. I don't know about you guys. I wasn't huge on Instagram a couple years ago. Now it's like everyone's on Instagram, especially the younger kids, they use that. But now even the younger kids are like going to other video-based platforms, the Snapchats of the world. And
that was just like Facebook though, because everybody was on MySpace, and then they're like, went there, and then.
It's interesting. I think that, and this is just my opinion, but Facebook will always be the big gorilla. I don't know how many accounts have you guys created where it's like log in with my Facebook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they have cornered the market on the way that we do so much of our like daily searching, right? Or the accounts that we have. It's kind of scary. But to answer your question specifically, not that I'm aware of.
Pinterest is something people are using.
Pinterest is a phenomenal platform, like 100%, and I can tell you, I know that it generates a lot of people in this business, a lot of leads, and a lot of it has to do with interior design ideas. A lot of it has to do with like design and inspiration, because Pinterest is very visual, kind of like Instagram, but you can save these boards, right? You can create these boards that are either inspiration or mood boards or design ideas. Pinterest is a phenomenal platform. In fact, there's a podcast I can share with you that was one of my last episodes where I interviewed like a Pinterest expert who generates all of her business on Pinterest.
That's a podcast?
It's really good. Yeah, it's a podcast.
So do you have a podcast then?
Yeah.
Which one is
the podcast is called Branding Like a Boss.
Okay.
And you gotta say like a boss. Okay. It's explicit. Forewarning. I wasn't expecting to plug any of that today. So,
What's the other podcast, the Pinterest?
oh, that's the last. Yeah, just go to Branding Like a Boss and you'll see. I don't remember what the episode title is called exactly, but I interviewed a girl named Hillary.
It's within the Branding Like a Boss.
Yeah, it's within the Branding Like a Boss. In fact, Branding Like a Boss, we've got like over 100 episodes on like all sorts of digital types of marketing and advertising. I talk about UX design, user profiling, the list goes on. Owen's listened to it. Owen's had a few podcasts too. Owen's actually a really good friend, and we met online in a digital forum, in a paid mastermind group actually, like
5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Did you guys target each other?
We've maintained friendships.
No.
They profiled you.
We profiled, and then we actually met at a conference face to face, and we sort of like hit it off. Actually, we shared a room, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, that's
we
right.
shared a room. We were both desperate to get a room at a particular conference, and we just shared a room.
You guys met online and shared a room?
We met through a we met through a mastermind we were part of. A marketing mastermind.
That's funny. I see what you did
I get
there.
it.
No, I was actually worried because the conference was in Vegas, and I had found out that he was an ex-NYPD police officer, and I'm like, damn, do I really want to stay with an ex-cop in Vegas? But we actually had a blast, man.
Yeah,
It was great.
At the time I lived in New York, and now I lived here.
Yeah.
First the room, and now. But yeah, we've been friends ever since, and we both work in the digital marketing space, just parallel to each other, basically.
Yeah.
I happen to be in real estate as well, so.
Thanks for coming.
No problem.
Do you guys have any other questions for me? You can pick my brain about whatever.
I know some realtors, like I'm a big podcast guy,
Mm-hmm.
and is it worth even doing a podcast if you're a realtor? Or do you know any realtors that do?
Well, I mean, I started the Daily Dose years ago.
Oh,
I started
okay.
GSD Mode years ago with Joshua. So I do think that here's what I can tell you about podcasting. I like podcasting. this is, to me, this is the timeline of interest on a podcast. You start and you go and you start getting interest, and then at some point, I don't care who you are, you can be Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, or whatever, you just stop listening and you start doing. You know, I loved Gary Vee. Gary Vee is an incredible influencer, 5 minutes, incredible influencer, creates amazing content, but I can only take so much, you know what I mean? So like, here's the thing, if you create a podcast, don't create a podcast to think that like, oh, you're gonna be the next top notch, and this is my opinion. You may have a different opinion, but I see the same thing with the guy that brought us together. His name's John Lee Dumas. He had a podcast called Entrepreneur on Fire, getting over 1 million downloads a month. Dude was crushing it. Now I think he just posted something on a new podcast. You just see the stats. He just reached 1,000 viewers in a day, and I'm like, to me that I was like, that doesn't mean, like, that's nothing, right? In compared to what he used to be. But it just shows that, like, I think that podcasting is phenomenal. I think it's a great resource, and it's something that you should add to your repertoire because it's easy to produce and easy to distribute. But just know that your viewership and your fans will not last. It will not last. You have to capitalize on it quickly. So, like when I launched my book, right around here, I said, "Hey guys, I'm gonna launch a book. Do you guys want to be a part of my book launch team? I'll give you the book for 99 cents instead of $20. They're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." So sign up. So then I started building my email list, right? So I built my email list like right around here. I launched my book right here. And then after that, I said, well, how do I end a podcast that I didn't say I was going to end? And then I was like, oh, I'll break it up into seasons. This is the end of season 1, you know what I mean? And then it went down, and then I started season 2, and it went like this again, and that was like 6 months later. But yes, I think you should do it. And here, I'll give you...
I have Anchor. Is that a good...
Anchor's great. Yeah. I thought Anchor was super cool. I've never used it, but I thought it was cool. There's one other thing I want to say, because I know Kelly said we have 5 minutes, and this is just something to stew on. I think video content is the most important type of content you can make, and I'm going to tell you why. Because from a video, we got our main things. We have written, video and audio, and then live. So, let's do this. Live event. This is live. It's being videoed right now. I can take this video now and I can send it to be transcribed. Now I can take that, I can also take the audio from the video, and now I have just an audio file. So if you create video first, you can create all these different mediums of content that stems from that one effort. So I spend 1 hour in here talking to you guys. I can literally write an ebook on how to use your profile, publish it on Amazon. I can create a podcast, a 5-part series. I chop this 1 hour thing up into 5 parts. I got a 5-part podcast.
50 Instagram quotes.
Boom! Yeah, 50 Instagram quotes from 1 hour's worth of work. So this right here and that, this is the way we should all be making content. Because you never know, like this profile, yeah, they like video and audio, but this profile might like some written, So make video first if you can, and then you can figure out the rest of your types of content.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
All of this stuff in your real estate business should be all driven towards one thing. Building a list and driving traffic.
Yeah, this thing.
To a funnel.
This
Not necessarily a website. Funnel has to be something that captures the user's data that you can then use it later on. If you're not doing it with purpose, you're creating entertainment. Entertainment doesn't cut checks. Leads cut checks.
I thought you said you're going to leave it on the same thing.
Oh. Sorry.
It's on the video.
Watch the video.
Yeah, watch the video.
That's what I said.
It is on the video, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you guys, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have any questions, I don't know, ask me next time I'm up here. I'll be here again. Yeah, thank you guys.